Hey, what's going on, everybody? Video 44 coming to another video. All right, so as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, I have been listening to videos that I made, excuse me, around the time that I was covering the Lakers in the summer. Last year when they were first putting the team together, and I realized how poorly a lot of what I said has aged, and I kind of want to talk about something I've been thinking about, which is um, Chris Paul and how wrong I was about Chris Paul uh, being the wrong choice for the Lakers over Russell Westbrook. Now, obviously, hindsight is 2020. Clearly, Russell Westbrook that we know of now is not comparable in any way to the Chris Paul that we're seeing right now, and there's no conversation to be had about who's better in any way, shape, or form. I don't think I've ever had a conversation or question about that. I think at the moment that I made that video, Chris Paul was coming off an injury and looked like he had been slowing down. To me, he looked like he had started slowing down, and I thought Father Time was beginning to get to him in Phoenix. I figured Phoenix wouldn't be able to maintain like they have. I just didn't have faith like I should have. Chris Paul has proven me wrong once again. He is still one of the elite point guards in basketball, which I never thought he wasn't. But as far as whether or not Westbrook would be better for the Lakers, I think that was just the wrong way to go. Obviously, it was silly. I think if the Lakers had Chris Paul right now, we'd still be in a bad situation because he wouldn't be able to make up for a lot of the deficiencies on this team, no different than Westbrook wasn't able to. And I don't think that Westbrook would be doing all that bad in Phoenix right now if he were put on that team right now. So I'm not saying that everything is perfect in regards to this, but what I'm saying is this. My thought about what Russell Westbrook was going to be for this team was more so about giving us insurance for LeBron James's injuries, and still being able to put up massive production in that process. There were a lot of things that weren't taken into account, such as turnover issues and obviously the missed shots and things like that weren't given enough of an emphasis. Defensive deficiencies, but my thinking was in concern with Russell Westbrook was making sure that we put the right stuff around him upon coming here. We didn't do that either. So I do feel like if we would have built more properly, I think it could have cut down on some of how he looked out there. If we would have left him a big man and left him more wings, more shooters on the floor with him that could defend and stuff like that, kind of mask some of his deficiencies. And that's what's needed. But I don't think you have as many of those issues with Chris Paul, to say the least. I think Chris Paul's injury issues are still a concern for me. Obviously, he's coming back from injury. But he's going to stretch the floor. I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and compare Chris Paul to Russell Westbrook in any way. That's just stupid. But what I am going to do is just acknowledge that I've learned so much this season. You know what I mean? I think I've learned more in the last year than I probably had learned in the last 5 years with the NBA, and just in terms of, projecting how best to perceive players, how best to perceive teams and structure, and more than anything, what I've learned is to just not get caught up in the moment, and certainly don't get caught up in storylines or anything like that as it pertains to building your team. I wanted Westbrook for the wrong reasons, and even though I think I was properly assessing Cp3 at that point, I think he's turned it around quite a bit, to say the least. So Cp3 is obviously back on top, and hopefully gets himself a championship this year. I don't have no problem with that since the Lakers are obviously eliminated. I know a lot of people are rooting against the Suns in LA because of the stuff that was said, between campaign and the Lakers and some of the other stuff that's been said. But to be honest with you, I don't think the Lakers are in any position to even defend themselves. Just as a team, we played so poorly and did so much damage to ourselves that what can we really say to an opponent that has something to say to us? We need to fix home first, and then we can come back and bring a proper team to the table from which we can brag about and be confident in. But as of right now, we don't have any bragging rights. We got to sit here and listen to everybody that has anything to say because they're right. You can throw 17 championships at them if you like, but I don't think it's going to get you very far. But the fact of the matter is, if they throw their history at us, obviously it's not going to be comparable either, so we can have that conversation and feel good about ourselves. But that don't do nothing for today. And I think at the end of the day, we need to build for tomorrow. So That's just something. At this point, I wouldn't want to. And I said this that day, to be honest with you, but I wouldn't want to build around either of them at this point. Not me. I think the Phoenix Suns have done a fantastic job of building around CP3, and they've been successful. I think they brought CP3 to a situation that fit him, which is why he should ultimately stay there for the rest of his career, in my opinion. I don't think he's moving either because he already signed that contract. So that's set in stone. I think this video was more so about acknowledging one of those bad that that didn't basically sit well, that did not age well. Those bad takes, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Very bad take. So it's cool to kind of go back and look at those bad takes and acknowledge what you've learned and what's changed. I think that's one of the reasons why I started the channel in the beginning, was to just be able to look back and kind of gauge how my opinions have changed over time. And so, yeah, I think I'm going to continue that journey and then continue to bring back content to you and tell you what I've learned. That might be something I could just kind of do. Being the Lakers are going to definitely be away and not really a whole lot to say about them. So, yeah, but it is what it is. Until there are moves to be made, we'll just be watching the team run around for seemingly nothing. And that is not a good thing when you have LeBron James on your team. So, there will be content. Tune in, BDF44. And I thank you all for watching.